Reddit guys, why did you reject the pretty girl? We were friends, I liked her and asked her out, but she turned me down. About a year after puberty, apparently I was now good looking and she asked me out. I realized that she was lazy, moody, just drank and didn't give, and her family was too religious. So I ended up shaking my head and saying, I don't think it's for the best. I didn't. While we were in bed, she told me she wanted to cheat on me with my best friend. Then she left and did exactly that. I lost 2 friends. Being pretty doesn't mean being a good person. Because I thought she was out of my league, so I thought she was definitely doing it as a challenge. So if I said yes, she would have laughed and said, I was just kidding, and I would end up feeling stupid or ridiculed for thinking I actually had a chance. So I said no, she wasn't kidding. But I didn't find out until it was too late. Low self-esteem is an embarrassment. On the bright side, and 20 years later, my self-esteem is much better and I'm happily married. Because after looking past her beauty, I realized she was horrible. I couldn't even be in the same room as her when she started talking. On the first date, she spent the whole time gossiping about a lot of people, including a good friend of mine. Over the course of the date, she went from being the hottest girl in my mind to a slightly repulsive girl. I'm not sure if that counts as rejection, but I avoided her after that. Even though I thought she was hot as hell, she wasn't worth it. She was taken advantage of. Despite being beautiful, she was fucking psycho. A good psycho who would do anything for me, but nonetheless, she wasn't safe to have around. Let me tell you about the girl I was dating before I met my wife. We dated for 2 years, she was hot and we had some similar interests, so we clicked. She loved me, wanted to be with me all the time and keep other people away from me. I slowly drifted away from my circle of friends, as she preferred to stay home instead of going out, for reasons I will never understand. She was constantly worried that my friends' girlfriends were interested in me, but clearly they were not. She thought my male friends were shallow, so over time, my wide circle of friends became just her. She didn't like my family at all, because she thought they were always judging her, and somehow secretly plotting various things behind her back. Needless to say, they weren't. In the end, I chose my friends and family over her. She misinterpreted I like to read as I'm rich and tried to ask me for expensive things. I'm a man, not a wallet. Because she was too afraid to say yes when she asked me to dance. It was a cute girl in a bar who saw me standing against the wall and asked me to dance. I was too nervous for fear of looking like a fool dancing, so I turned down the proposal. By then I was too dumb. I dated for a few months with a beautiful girl, perfect, a 10 out of 10. The problem was that she had no personality. I'm afraid my sense of humor may not have been very smart, or maybe she believed that the man should take control of every situation and decide everything. She laughed at all my jokes, but I don't think she understood any of them. She laughed the same laugh every time, no matter what kind of joke it was. She was a cold fish in the bedroom, never showed a preference for anything in particular. I had to go through the motions. So I finally broke up with her. It just wasn't fun anymore. Yes, she was very beautiful, but she was boring. Or maybe it was me, maybe I wasn't right with her, but I could never tell if she was happy or not, so I just gave up. My friends thought I was crazy for breaking up with her, but I didn't go into details because I didn't want to talk bad about her. I simply said it didn't work out and left it at that. When I broke up with her, she smiled the same smile she always smiled and said, "It's okay." And that was that. I found out months later from one of her friends, who was heartbroken about it, heartbroken and wanted to bang my head against a wall. How was I supposed to know that she cared? She never showed any emotion about anything. I felt terrible for breaking her heart, but she never gave me a single hint that she cared about anything. Communication is important. I was at a party, and a couple of friends were trying to introduce me to a friend of theirs, who was recently divorced. We hung out, chatted, and hit it off. Then she started talking about how she hadn't vaccinated her son, because a lot of people didn't realize how bad they were, and humans have lived for centuries without vaccinations. I walked out of that conversation and never looked back. When I was in high school, one of the most attractive girls jumped into my arms. She kissed me and asked me to be her boyfriend. I thought it was a joke and said no. I turned her down because I was an idiot. I turned her down because I was an ignorant idiot. She said to a waitress, "Your job isn't that hard, all you do is carry food." I apologized to the waitress, paid, walked away and left her there. I had a huge crush on a girl in high school. I tried dating her for almost a year, always hoping she would give me something more than friendship. When that didn't really work out, I decided to take a chance and ask her to prom. She didn't say yes right away, but she said yes quickly. I realized that she was going to prom because that's what she liked, not because she wanted to go with me. I lost interest after that and started dating another girl. Interestingly enough, it was a girl I danced with at that prom, who told me while we were dancing that she really liked me. I accidentally turned down a girl I had a crush on in high school. I convinced myself that she was the one I was going to end up marrying, and so on. Turns out she liked me too, and her brother would literally walk past me at school and yell, "My sister likes you." But I assumed she was trolling me or something. Well, one day we were on the train home after school, and her friend suddenly and mysteriously disappeared into another car, leaving her and me alone. She asked, "Hey, I was wondering, are you in love with me?" as she leaned in hopeful for my answer. How did I react to this situation? I started rummaging through my school bag, pretending I was looking for something, and quickly changed the subject to some nonsense. She leaned back in her seat and looked visibly disappointed. Now, why did I do this? You might ask. Because I had heard about the statistics, about how unlikely relationships were to last if they started at that age. So I told myself that we weren't ready yet. I was going to wait 5 more years, until we left school, before I made my move. Because then it would last, I told myself. Of course, I waited so long that he finally lost interest and we moved away. Yes, my teenage self had some strange ideas about love and relationships. Why his soul was a garbage can. I had feelings for a girl for a long time. We had a lot of fun, enjoyed each other's company, got along well and were friends for a while before we were together. There was a period of time where we weren't together for a year or so. We got together shortly after this period and started dating. We went on a date and were talking about things. She told me that during that year or so that we weren't close, she started smoking, which was a big turnoff for me. I had feelings for her for at least 10 years. Some may think it's superficial, but smoking is something I can't stand. I tried for a while to deal with it, but for me it was something that was constantly on my mind, and I couldn't get over it. She was a beautiful woman, with brown hair, green eyes and spoke 6 languages. The problem was that she simply didn't have a lick of sense. I turned her down, and thank God I did, because 2 months ago her boyfriend was sent to prison for 15 years for attempted murder. He found her in bed with another man. Thank God I decided to dodge that bullet. I asked this pretty girl out. We went out for 3 days and then she broke up, because she realized she wasn't ready for a relationship yet. It took me a year of being friends to forget her. Then all of a sudden she started having feelings, but I didn't anymore, so I turned her down and told her it was too late. Don't think I want to try dating again now, 2 years later. Because she had a tendency to abandon people, we were great friends. I was in love with her, but I couldn't rule out the possibility that she would do the same with me, and sure enough, after 2.5 years, she did exactly that for no reason. 5 years later, I still don't know what happened. Our personalities were incompatible. Sure, we were madly in love with each other, but I realized that once the crush ended, we wouldn't have much in common. It just so happened that I was out of the infatuation phase before she was, but I'm sure she would have done the same, had she been out of that phase before me. If you know any story about it, you can leave it in the comments. Remember to give a like and subscribe to see new videos. Thank you very much for your visit.